What if your greatest struggles were actually your biggest opportunities? This audiobook reveals the science-backed secret to turning pain into power, fear into fuel, and setbacks into success. Your mind holds the key. Unlock it now and transform your reality forever. Introduction. What if I told you that every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt you've ever faced was actually a disguised opportunity? What if, hidden within your worst moments, there existed the very key to unlocking your greatest strengths? Right now, as you listen to these words, your mind is already searching for proof. Memories of past failures, moments of pain, or times when you felt like the world was against you. But what if those moments weren't meant to break you? What if they were preparing you for something greater? The truth is, most people go through life reacting to struggles rather than using them. They believe that pain is a punishment, that obstacles mean they're on the wrong path. But that's a lie. Struggles are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones. Every time you've been pushed down, every time life has thrown you into chaos, you've been handed an opportunity to rise, to evolve, to transform. But the real question is, will you take it? This is the positivity effect, and by the time you finish this audiobook, it will completely reshape the way you see your life, your challenges, and your potential. Why struggles are opportunities in disguise. Right now, your brain is wired to resist discomfort. It's natural. It's how we've survived as a species. But what if I told you that your greatest growth comes from discomfort? Every successful person, every game changer, every visionary has one thing in common. They didn't run from struggle. They used it. Think about the most powerful comeback stories, the legends, the icons, the innovators. Do you think they avoided adversity? Number, they leaned into it. They saw pain as a teacher, failure as feedback, and struggle as fuel. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was fired from her first job in television. Steve Jobs was kicked out of the very company he built. But instead of letting those moments define them, they used them. They transformed adversity into their greatest advantage. What about you? The struggles you faced, the heartbreak, the rejection, the loss, are they stopping you? Or are they shaping you? The positivity effect will train your mind to see opportunity where others see obstacles, to turn pain into power, and to make struggle your greatest strength. But to do that, you have to unlearn the toxic mindset that's been holding you back. You have to rewire the way you think about failure, fear, and adversity. And by the time you're done listening to this audiobook, that transformation will have already begun. The science behind resilience and positivity. This isn't just motivational talk. This is science. Neuroscientists have proven that your brain has an incredible ability to adapt, rewire, and strengthen itself based on how you perceive experiences. This is called neuroplasticity, and it means that the way you think about your struggles actually determines how powerful or powerless you become. When you encounter stress, your brain releases chemicals like cortisol, which triggers fear and anxiety. But here's where it gets interesting. If you believe that stress is harmful, it is. Studies have shown that people who see stress as dangerous are more likely to suffer from burnout, illness, and even premature death. But people who reframe stress, who see it as a sign of growth, actually become stronger, sharper, and more resilient. That means your mindset is your superpower. If you choose to see struggles as fuel, your brain will literally rewire itself to make you more confident, more capable, and more unstoppable. That's not theory. That's neuroscience. And by the end of this audiobook, you'll have the exact strategies to reprogram your mind for resilience, success, and unshakable positivity. What to expect from this audiobook? This is not just another self-help book. This is a mental revolution. In the chapters ahead, you will learn the positivity effect formula, the step-by-step process to turn any challenge into power. The science of mindset. How your thoughts shape your reality and how to rewire them. Emotional alchemy. How to transform pain, anger, and frustration into unstoppable motivation. Mental toughness training. The secrets of elite performers to stay strong under pressure. The art of lasting positivity. How to make resilience and optimism your default state. And most importantly, you will discover how to make struggle your greatest advantage. So if you're tired of being controlled by negativity, if you're ready to stop seeing obstacles as setbacks and start using them as fuel, if you're prepared to rewrite the way you experience life itself, then let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Positivity. How Mindset Shapes Reality. Positivity is not just a feel-good concept. It is a transformative force that can shape the course of an individual's life. Every thought we entertain, every perception we allow, and every reaction we choose is a building block in the structure of our reality. A person who views obstacles as insurmountable will find themselves constantly hindered by doubt and frustration, while someone who embraces challenges as opportunities will forge ahead despite adversity. The human brain is wired to respond to the dominant narratives we tell ourselves. If we condition our minds to anticipate failure, we begin to see failure everywhere, even in places where success is possible. However, if we train ourselves to seek out the silver lining in every situation, we gradually develop a resilience that enables us to move forward with confidence and clarity. The fundamental truth is that reality is not merely what happens to us, but how we interpret what happens. Countless individuals experience the same external circumstances, yet their responses define their outcomes. This is why two people in identical situations, facing job loss, heartbreak, or setbacks, can emerge with entirely different trajectories. One may spiral into self-doubt and despair, while the other uses the experience as fuel for reinvention. It is not blind optimism that makes the difference, but a deep, conscious decision to cultivate a positive perspective even when faced with hardship. The connection between thoughts and emotions. Thoughts are the architects of emotion, and emotions, in turn, influence behavior. A single discouraging thought can spiral into an avalanche of negative emotions, altering not just mood, but the way a person interacts with the world. Consider how a simple setback, such as failing a test, being rejected from a job, or facing an unexpected financial burden, can feel like a defining moment of inadequacy when approached with a negative mindset. The individual begins to internalize failure, questioning their worth and potential. However, another person in the same situation, armed with a different mindset, may see the setback as a mere lesson rather than a final verdict. They will look for alternative solutions, identify areas of improvement, and take proactive steps forward. The difference between the two is not the event itself, but the interpretation of the event. Neuroscientific research supports this concept, revealing that habitual negative thinking strengthens neural pathways associated with stress and fear, making a pessimistic mindset self-reinforcing. Conversely, positive thinking strengthens neural pathways linked to problem-solving, emotional regulation, and overall well-being. This means that the more we engage in constructive thought patterns, the more natural and automatic they become. Positivity as a learned skill. One of the most empowering aspects of positivity is that it is not an innate trait, but a skill that can be developed. While some individuals may have a natural inclination toward optimism due to upbringing or personality, anyone can cultivate a positive mindset through intentional practice. Just as physical strength is built through consistent exercise, mental resilience is forged through daily effort. This begins with self-awareness, recognizing negative thought patterns and replacing them with constructive alternatives. It is not about denying hardship, but about choosing a perspective that fuels growth rather than despair. Journaling, meditation, and self-affirmation are powerful tools in this process. helping individuals reframe their internal dialogue. Moreover, surrounding oneself with positive influences, people who uplift rather than drain, books that inspire rather than discourage, environments that foster creativity rather than stagnation, can accelerate this transformation. It is also essential to embrace the idea of progress over perfection. Many people give up on cultivating positivity because they expect an overnight transformation. In reality, developing a strong mindset is a gradual process, requiring patience and persistence. The key is consistency. Small daily choices accumulate into significant change over time. Real-life examples of overcoming negativity. History is replete with examples of individuals who turned adversity into strength through the power of positive thinking. Consider Thomas Edison, whose teachers labeled him too stupid to learn anything. He could have accepted this judgment and allowed it to dictate his future. But he chose instead to see failure as a stepping stone to success. Edison's thousands of failed attempts at inventing the light bulb did not discourage him because he viewed each failure as valuable feedback. His unwavering belief in eventual success propelled him forward when most would have given up. Another powerful example is Oprah Winfrey, who endured a traumatic childhood and faced repeated professional rejections before becoming one of the most influential figures in media. Rather than succumbing to bitterness or self-doubt, she used her struggles as fuel for resilience, turning her pain into purpose. These stories highlight that positivity is not about ignoring reality, but about approaching it with a mindset that fosters growth. Even in modern psychology, studies have shown that individuals who practice positive thinking experience lower levels of stress, higher problem-solving abilities, and greater life satisfaction. The ability to reframe adversity into opportunity is a defining characteristic of those who thrive despite hardship. Shifting focus from problems to solutions. One of the most practical applications of positivity is the shift from dwelling on problems to seeking solutions. It is easy to get caught in a cycle of complaining, worrying, and overanalyzing setbacks, but this does little to create progress. The most successful and fulfilled individuals are those who quickly pivot from "Why did this happen to me?" to "What can I do about this?" This proactive approach shifts energy away from frustration and toward action. Developing a solution-oriented mindset does not mean disregarding emotions. It means acknowledging them and then moving forward with purpose. For instance, if a person loses their job, they can either sink into self-pity or use the situation as an opportunity to reassess their career goals, build new skills, or explore entrepreneurship. Similarly, in personal relationships, conflicts are inevitable, but they do not have to be destructive. Instead of fixating on grievances, individuals who focus on resolution rather than blame create healthier, more resilient connections. The key to shifting focus is to ask empowering questions. What can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger? What steps can I take to improve my situation? This mindset transforms even the most challenging experiences into opportunities for personal and professional growth. The power of positivity lies not in denying reality, but in shaping it through perspective. Every struggle carries the seed of strength, and every setback holds the potential for a comeback. By understanding that mindset is the foundation of experience, individuals can take control of their internal narratives, choosing to see challenges as opportunities rather than roadblocks. The connection between thoughts and emotions highlights the importance of cultivating constructive thought patterns, reinforcing the idea that positivity is a skill that can be developed through consistent practice. Through the examples of historical and modern figures, it becomes evident that a resilient mindset is a common denominator among those who overcome adversity. Finally, by shifting focus from problems to solutions, individuals can take charge of their circumstances, making progress rather than remaining stuck in frustration. The first step toward harnessing the power of positivity is a decision. A decision to view life not as something that happens to us, but as something we shape with our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. As the journey unfolds, the choice to embrace this mindset will determine whether struggles become stumbling blocks or stepping stones to greater strength. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Struggle. Why adversity is essential for growth. Struggle is often seen as an unwelcome force, something to be avoided, minimized, or escaped at all costs. From childhood, people are conditioned to believe that success means comfort and that ease is a sign of progress. Yet, the paradox of human growth is that adversity is the very foundation upon which strength, resilience, and wisdom are built. Without struggle, the mind remains stagnant, untested, and incapable of developing the endurance required for lasting achievement. Nature itself provides the most compelling evidence of this truth. Consider the way a butterfly emerges from its cocoon. If one were to assist in its escape, cutting the cocoon open to make the process easier, the butterfly would never develop the necessary muscle strength in its wings to fly. Its struggle is not a mistake, but a necessity. Similarly, when trees grow in an environment with no wind, their roots remain weak, and they eventually topple under their own weight. It is only through resistance that they develop the deep roots required to withstand storms. The same principle applies to human beings. Without challenges, people remain fragile, ill-prepared for the inevitable turbulence of life. Those who seek to eliminate every hardship end up depriving themselves of the very experiences that shape character, foster wisdom, and build the psychological endurance required for success. Struggles serve as a catalyst for self-discovery. Many individuals do not truly know the extent of their own strength until they are forced to face hardship. A person who has never experienced rejection, failure, or loss may assume they are incapable of handling such pain. Yet, when confronted with difficulty, they often surprise themselves with their own resilience. It is through these trials that people uncover their capacity for endurance, resourcefulness, and emotional fortitude. Adversity does not break a person. It reveals them. The most inspiring figures in history, from scientists to artists to world leaders, all share one commonality. They have faced extraordinary struggles and emerged stronger because of them. Their challenges refined their vision, strengthened their resolve, and forced them to adapt in ways that ultimately led to their success. The reality is that struggle is not an obstacle to greatness. It is the very pathway to it. The brain's response to challenges. At the core of every struggle lies a psychological battle, a war between the mind's instinct for survival and its potential for growth. The human brain is wired for efficiency, seeking patterns that provide safety and predictability. When a person faces adversity, the brain perceives it as a threat, triggering the release of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. This is the body's natural defense mechanism, a response designed to ensure survival in moments of danger. However, the same biological reaction that once protected humans from predators now often works against them in modern challenges. A failed business venture, a painful breakup, or a financial hardship may not pose a physical threat. Yet the brain reacts as though the person is in immediate danger, prompting anxiety, self-doubt, and fear. Yet, just as the brain has the power to induce stress, it also possesses the remarkable ability to adapt, rewire, and grow. Neuroscientific research has demonstrated that adversity activates neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural connections. When an individual overcomes a challenge, their brain literally strengthens the pathways associated with resilience, problem-solving, and emotional regulation. This means that each struggle faced and conquered rewires the brain to handle future obstacles with greater ease. The more a person endures and navigates difficulties, the more their brain becomes conditioned to view challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. Over time, what once seemed overwhelming becomes manageable. and what once caused fear becomes a source of strength. How struggles shape identity and character. A person's identity is not shaped in moments of ease, but in moments of trial. Struggles force individuals to confront their limitations, question their assumptions, and redefine their beliefs about themselves. They strip away illusions of invincibility, revealing both vulnerabilities and untapped strengths. It is in times of adversity that people discover what they truly stand for, what they are willing to fight for, and what matters most to them. Hardship forces clarity. It eliminates the distractions of trivial concerns and refocuses the mind on what is truly essential. A person who has experienced profound loss, for example, often gains a deeper appreciation for relationships and meaningful connections. Someone who has faced financial ruin may develop an unshakable work ethic and a newfound determination to succeed. These experiences do not merely change people, they define them. More importantly, struggle cultivates virtues that cannot be learned through comfort. Patience is forged through long waits and uncertainty. Courage is developed through facing fears rather than avoiding them. Empathy grows through experiencing personal suffering, making one more attuned to the pain of others. Self-discipline is strengthened through repeated trials that demand perseverance. Without struggle, these traits remain undeveloped, and without them, true success, both personal and professional, remains out of reach. The most admired and influential individuals in any field are those who have endured, adapted, and transformed their pain into purpose. Their character was not built in moments of ease, but in moments of immense difficulty. The role of failure in success. Failure is often misunderstood. Society conditions people to see failure as a sign of inadequacy, a verdict that suggests they are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. In reality, failure is an essential ingredient of success. Every great achievement is preceded by multiple failures, and every failure holds valuable lessons that pave the way for growth. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is not the absence of failure, but the ability to use failure as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Consider the stories of some of history's most successful individuals. Michael Jordan, widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. He did not allow this failure to define him. Instead, he used it as motivation to work harder and refine his skills. J.K. Rowling, before publishing the Harry Potter series, faced rejection from multiple publishers, each of whom failed to see the potential in her work. Instead of giving up, she persisted, and today her books have inspired millions worldwide. Thomas Edison famously stated, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work," emphasizing that each failure was simply another step towards success. Failure is a form of education. It reveals weaknesses that need strengthening, strategies that need adjusting, and areas that require further effort. It forces individuals to develop patience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Those who fear failure remain paralyzed, avoiding risks and missing opportunities for growth. Those who embrace failure as an inevitable and necessary part of the journey develop a mindset that allows them to persist until they succeed. Struggles are not to be feared or resented. They are to be embraced as the very experiences that forge resilience, wisdom, and strength. The brain, though initially resistant to adversity, adapts and grows through it, rewiring itself to handle future challenges with greater ease. Identity is shaped in moments of hardship, and character is strengthened through trials. Failure, rather than being a mark of defeat, is an essential component of success. Those who learn to view struggle as an ally rather than an enemy unlock their true potential, transforming every setback into an opportunity for growth. In the end, the most profound personal victories arise not in the absence of struggle, but because of it. Chapter 3. The science of resilience. Understanding resilience, the foundation of mental strength. Resilience is often thought of as an abstract quality, a characteristic possessed by those who seem to weather life's storms with unwavering strength. But what is resilience truly? It is not the absence of pain or the ability to avoid hardship, but rather the capacity to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, and continue moving forward despite adversity. It is the psychological elasticity that allows individuals to bend without breaking, to absorb life's shocks while remaining intact. Unlike talent or intelligence, resilience is not an innate trait that some are born with and others lack. It is a skill, one that can be developed and strengthened through intentional practice. It is the ability to reframe failures, regulate emotions, and maintain a sense of purpose even in the face of overwhelming obstacles. Psychologists have long studied resilience, seeking to understand why some people crumble under pressure while others emerge stronger. Research suggests that resilience is shaped by a combination of genetics, environment, and personal choices. While certain individuals may have a genetic predisposition toward emotional stability, it is ultimately experience and mindset that determine a person's ability to endure hardship. Children who grow up in supportive environments, where they are encouraged to take risks and learn from mistakes, often develop a greater sense of resilience. Conversely, those who are shielded from failure or discouraged from facing challenges may struggle to cope with adversity later in life. However, the most encouraging finding in resilience research is that it can be cultivated at any stage of life. Whether one is naturally resilient or not, the brain has the capacity to adapt, learn, and grow, allowing anyone to develop the mental fortitude necessary to navigate life's difficulties. The neuroscience of resilience, how the brain adapts to adversity. At its core, resilience is not just a psychological concept, but a biological process. The brain is an ever-changing organ, constantly rewiring itself in response to experience. This phenomenon, known as neuroplasticity, is what allows individuals to develop resilience over time. When faced with stress, the brain activates the amygdala, the region responsible for processing fear and emotional responses. In moments of acute danger, this response is necessary. It prepares the body for action, heightening awareness and triggering the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. However, when stress becomes chronic, the constant activation of the amygdala can lead to anxiety, depression, and a sense of helplessness. Resilient individuals have been found to exhibit a different neurological response to stress. Instead of allowing the amygdala to dominate, they engage the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, problem-solving, and emotional regulation. This allows them to assess situations objectively, regulate their emotions, and respond to adversity with greater clarity. Studies using brain imaging technology have shown that resilient individuals have stronger connections between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, enabling them to manage stress more effectively. In essence, they have trained their brains to remain calm under pressure, to interpret challenges as opportunities rather than threats. One of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience is that resilience can be intentionally developed through specific practices. Meditation, for example, has been shown to strengthen the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, reducing emotional reactivity and enhancing emotional regulation. Similarly, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, teaches individuals how to reframe negative thoughts, replacing fear-driven responses with rational, constructive ones. By consistently engaging in these practices, individuals can rewire their brains to respond to adversity with greater strength and stability. Emotional regulation, the key to resilient thinking. One of the defining characteristics of resilient individuals is their ability to regulate their emotions effectively. Emotional regulation does not mean suppressing feelings or pretending that pain does not exist. Rather, It involves acknowledging emotions without being controlled by them. When faced with adversity, it is natural to experience fear, frustration, or sadness. However, allowing these emotions to dictate actions can lead to impulsive decisions, self-sabotage, or prolonged suffering. Resilient individuals recognize their emotions, but do not allow them to cloud judgment or dictate behavior. One effective strategy for emotional regulation is cognitive reappraisal, the process of reframing a situation in a way that reduces its emotional impact. For example, instead of viewing a job loss as a personal failure, a resilient person might see it as an opportunity to explore new career paths or develop new skills. Instead of interpreting rejection as proof of inadequacy, they might view it as a necessary step toward finding a better fit. This shift in perspective does not eliminate hardship, but it changes the emotional response to it, making challenges more manageable. Another crucial aspect of emotional regulation is self-compassion. Many people are their own harshest critics, berating themselves for mistakes and setbacks. However, research has shown that self-compassion, treating oneself with the same kindness and understanding as one would a friend, enhances resilience. Those who practice self-compassion are more likely to learn from failure rather than be paralyzed by it. They are also less prone to anxiety and depression, as they cultivate an internal sense of safety and self-worth that is not dependent on external success. The role of optimism in resilience. Optimism plays a vital role in resilience, not because it denies reality, but because it influences how individuals interpret and respond to difficulties. Optimistic people are not immune to hardship, but they possess a deep-seated belief that challenges can be overcome, that effort leads to improvement, and that setbacks are temporary rather than permanent. This belief is what allows them to persist when others give up. Studies have shown that optimistic individuals are more likely to engage in proactive coping strategies. Instead of resigning themselves to defeat, they seek solutions, take constructive action, and maintain hope for the future. This proactive approach not only increases the likelihood of success, but also reduces stress levels, as it creates a sense of control over one's circumstances. However, optimism is not about blind positivity. It is about realistic hope. Unrealistic optimism, where individuals ignore problems or assume that everything will work out without effort, can be just as harmful as pessimism. The most resilient individuals balance optimism with realism. They acknowledge challenges, but they believe in their ability to overcome them. They do not ignore setbacks, but they do not allow setbacks to define them. Building resilience. Practical strategies for strengthening mental fortitude. Developing resilience is a lifelong process, requiring intentional effort and consistent practice. One of the most effective ways to cultivate resilience is through exposure to controlled challenges, small, manageable difficulties that build confidence and problem-solving skills. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, mental resilience is developed through facing and overcoming adversity. Another powerful strategy is cultivating a strong support system. Social connections provide emotional reinforcement, encouragement, and practical guidance during difficult times. Studies have shown that people with strong social support networks are significantly more resilient, as they have access to external resources that help them navigate adversity. Practicing gratitude is another scientifically proven method for enhancing resilience. By focusing on what is still good and meaningful, even in times of hardship, individuals shift their attention away from what is lacking and toward what remains possible. Gratitude does not negate challenges, but it provides a broader perspective that makes them more bearable. Resilience is not about avoiding adversity. It is about developing the strength to withstand it. It is a skill that can be cultivated, shaped by neuroscience, emotional regulation, and an optimistic, yet realistic mindset. Through intentional practices such as cognitive reappraisal, self-compassion, and proactive coping, individuals can train their minds to face hardship with greater confidence and clarity. The most resilient people are not those who never struggle, but those who learn, adapt, and grow from every challenge they face. Chapter 4. The Power of Perspective. How perspective shapes reality. Perspective is the lens through which people interpret the world. It is not a passive reflection of reality, but an active force that determines how experiences are understood, processed, and ultimately internalized. Two people can go through the exact same situation and walk away with entirely different interpretations. One might see hardship, failure, or injustice, while the other sees opportunity, growth, and meaning. It is not the events themselves that shape a person's reality, but rather how those events are perceived. A struggle can be viewed as a burden or as a stepping stone. A loss can be seen as an irreparable wound or lesson in resilience. A failure can be experienced as the end of the road or as an invitation to try again with greater wisdom. The most fascinating aspect of perspective is that it is largely under personal control. While external circumstances may be unpredictable and often uncontrollable, the way one chooses to interpret those circumstances is entirely within their power. Yet, many people do not realize they have this ability. They allow their perspectives to be dictated by habit, upbringing, or societal expectations, often adopting disempowering narratives that keep them trapped in cycles of negativity and limitation. However, the moment one recognizes that perspective is a choice, they unlock a profound level of freedom. They gain the ability to reshape their experiences, redefine their struggles, and ultimately transform their lives from the inside out. The science behind perspective, cognitive framing, and neuroplasticity. Perspective is not just an abstract philosophical concept. It is deeply rooted in the brain's neurological wiring. The way a person interprets experiences is shaped by cognitive framing, a psychological process in which the brain categorizes and assigns meaning to events. When an event occurs, the brain does not perceive it in a vacuum. Instead, it filters the experience through past memories, emotions, and learned beliefs. This filtering process determines whether the event is seen as positive, negative, or neutral. Neuroscientific research has shown that the brain has an incredible ability to rewire itself, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. When a person repeatedly interprets events in a particular way, they strengthen neural pathways that reinforce that perspective. If someone consistently frames challenges as insurmountable, their brain strengthens the connection between adversity and helplessness, making it more difficult for them to see alternatives. Conversely, if they regularly practice reframing struggles as opportunities, they train their brain to default to resilience and optimism. Over time, this becomes second nature, allowing them to navigate difficulties with a mindset that fosters growth rather than despair. One of the most remarkable aspects of neuroplasticity is that it allows individuals to change their perspectives at any point in life. Even if someone has spent years interpreting experiences through a negative lens, they can, through conscious effort, rewire their brain to adopt a more empowering perspective. Practices such as mindfulness, cognitive behavioral techniques, and intentional reframing exercises have been shown to create lasting changes in how the brain processes experiences. Overcoming negative thought patterns. Many people are unaware of how deeply ingrained negative thought patterns shape their perception of reality. These patterns are often formed in childhood, reinforced by societal conditioning, and maintained through repetition. Thoughts such as, "I'm not good enough," "things never work out for me," or "I always fail," create self-fulfilling prophecies as they shape behaviors and attitudes in ways that reinforce those very beliefs. When people expect failure, they hesitate to take risks, inadvertently sabotaging their chances of success. When they assume others will reject them, they behave defensively, creating the very disconnection they fear. Breaking free from negative thought patterns requires awareness, intentionality, and practice. The first step is recognizing these patterns and understanding that they are not absolute truths, but rather conditioned responses. A useful technique is cognitive distancing, learning to observe thoughts without immediately accepting them as reality. Instead of thinking, "I always fail," one can reframe it as, "I have faced setbacks, but I have also learned and improved." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," they can practice, "I am constantly growing and developing new strengths." While this may feel unnatural at first, repeated practice rewires the brain, making positive reframing the default response over time. Another powerful strategy is questioning the validity of negative thoughts. Often, these thoughts are based on past experiences that no longer hold relevance in the present. For example, a person who was once ridiculed for making a mistake in school may carry a deeply ingrained fear of public speaking into adulthood, even though they now have the knowledge, skills, and experience to succeed. By actively challenging outdated or irrational fears, individuals can dismantle limiting beliefs and replace them with more empowering perspectives. The role of gratitude in shifting perspective. Gratitude is one of the most effective tools for shifting perspective. When individuals actively focus on what they appreciate, their brains begin to rewire to seek out positive aspects of their experiences, rather than fixating on what is lacking or difficult. Scientific studies have shown that practicing gratitude can enhance overall well-being, reduce stress, and even strengthen the immune system. This is because gratitude shifts the brain's focus away from scarcity and toward abundance, creating a more optimistic and resilient mindset. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to cultivate gratitude is through a daily practice of reflection. Writing down 3 things to be grateful for each day, even small, seemingly insignificant moments, can train the mind to recognize positivity even in the midst of struggle. Over time, this practice shifts default thought patterns, making optimism a natural state rather than something that must be forced. Gratitude does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending challenges do not exist. Rather, it provides a broader perspective that allows individuals to see that even in hardship, there is still good to be found. Harnessing perspective to build a resilient mindset. Developing a resilient mindset begins with recognizing that perspective is a choice. Life's challenges will always exist, and adversity is inevitable. But the way those challenges are perceived makes all the difference. When a person consciously chooses to view obstacles as opportunities, failures as lessons, and hardships as growth experiences, they unlock an inner strength that allows them to navigate life with confidence and resilience. One practical exercise for strengthening a resilient mindset is adopting a challenge response perspective. Instead of reacting to difficulties with frustration or despair, individuals can train themselves to ask, "How can I grow from this?" This simple shift in questioning moves the brain from a reactive state to a proactive one, encouraging creative problem solving and personal growth. Similarly, surrounding oneself with resilient individuals, those who embody optimism, adaptability, and perseverance, can reinforce a growth-oriented perspective, as the attitudes and behaviors of those around us deeply influence our own. Perspective is one of the most powerful forces in shaping a person's reality. It determines whether struggles break a person or build them, whether failure leads to defeat or fuels growth, and whether life is experienced as a series of burdens or a journey of learning. By understanding the science behind perspective, breaking free from negative thought patterns, cultivating gratitude, and developing a resilient mindset, individuals can transform their lives from the inside out. Ultimately, the power of perspective is the power of choice, the choice to see not just what is, but what could be. Chapter 5. The Strength in Adversity. The nature of adversity, a crucible for growth. Adversity is an inevitable part of life, woven into the very fabric of human experience. It comes in many forms: personal loss, failure, rejection, hardship, and uncertainty. Yet it is not adversity itself that defines a person, but how they respond to it. Every individual will, at some point, face moments of overwhelming difficulty, moments that threaten to shake the very foundation of their beliefs and self-worth. But within these moments lies an opportunity, an invitation to grow, to rise, to forge a version of oneself that is stronger and more resilient than before. Adversity is often perceived as an enemy, something to be avoided at all costs. Yet history and psychology tell a different story. Some of the most remarkable figures in history, those who have changed the world, defied the odds, and left an indelible mark on society, have done so not in the absence of hardship, but because of it. Their struggles became their training grounds, their pain became their fuel, and their setbacks became the very things that propelled them forward. This is not to romanticize suffering, but to recognize that within every challenge, there exists an opportunity to discover an inner strength that may have otherwise remained dormant. The difference between those who crumble under adversity and those who emerge stronger often lies in their mindset. Some view difficulties as insurmountable obstacles, while others see them as stepping stones to personal evolution. It is not the external hardship itself that determines the outcome, but the internal narrative that surrounds it. A mind that believes adversity is unfair and unbearable will resist it, growing weaker with each struggle. A mind that sees hardship as an opportunity for growth will endure, adapt, and ultimately transcend. The psychology of endurance. What makes some people stronger? Why do some people seem to thrive under pressure while others collapse under the weight of adversity? Psychologists have long sought to answer this question, and their findings point to a powerful truth. Resilience is not a fixed trait, but a skill that can be cultivated. Studies on post-traumatic growth have shown that individuals who endure significant hardship often experience profound personal transformation. They emerge with greater clarity, stronger values, and a renewed sense of purpose. But this transformation does not happen automatically. It requires intentional effort and a willingness to shift perspectives. At the core of resilience is emotional regulation, the ability to process and manage difficult emotions without being consumed by them. When adversity strikes, the brain's natural response is to activate the fight or flight system, flooding the body with stress hormones and triggering feelings of fear and despair. While this response is useful in immediate danger, prolonged exposure to stress without proper regulation can lead to mental and emotional exhaustion. Resilient individuals have learned to manage these emotions, allowing them to face adversity with clarity rather than panic. Another key factor is cognitive reframing, the ability to reinterpret challenges in a way that empowers rather than paralyzes. This does not mean ignoring pain or pretending that suffering does not exist, but rather choosing to extract meaning from hardship. A job loss, for example, can be viewed as an unfair blow or as a chance to pursue a more fulfilling career. A painful breakup can be seen as an unbearable loss or as an opportunity to rediscover oneself. Perspective is everything, and those who learn to master their interpretation of events gain a significant advantage in the face of adversity. Lessons. Hidden in hardship, finding strength in the struggle. Pain, loss, and failure are some of life's most feared experiences, yet they often serve as the most powerful teachers. Those who have endured great suffering and emerged stronger often speak of an inner transformation that could not have happened without adversity. Hardship has a way of stripping away illusions, forcing individuals to confront their deepest fears, and revealing truths that are easily overlooked in times of comfort. One of the most profound lessons adversity teaches is the impermanence of suffering. In the midst of struggle, it often feels as though the pain will last forever, that the weight of the moment is inescapable. Yet time and again, people emerge from hardship with the realization that pain is temporary. What once seemed unbearable eventually becomes a distant memory, a chapter in a larger story. This awareness creates a powerful shift in perspective. When individuals understand that adversity is not permanent, they gain the strength to endure, knowing that brighter days will come. Hardship also forces individuals to reevaluate their priorities. In the absence of struggle, it is easy to be consumed by trivial concerns, to place importance on things that ultimately hold little value. But when life is shaken by adversity, clarity emerges. What truly matters becomes evident, and distractions fade into insignificance. This is why many who have faced life-threatening illnesses, profound loss, or major failures often speak of a renewed appreciation for life. Adversity clears the noise, revealing what is truly meaningful. Building resilience, turning struggles into strength. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, but about developing the strength to withstand it. There are several practical strategies that can help individuals build resilience and transform hardship into growth. First, cultivating a growth mindset is essential. A fixed mindset sees failure as proof of inadequacy, while a growth mindset sees failure as a necessary step toward improvement. Those who develop a growth-oriented perspective do not fear setbacks because they understand that every challenge is an opportunity to learn. They ask, "What can this teach me?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" This simple shift in thinking creates an immense capacity for endurance. Second, developing a strong support system can make an enormous difference. No one is meant to endure hardship alone, and those who have strong social connections tend to navigate adversity more effectively. Whether it is family, friends, mentors, or support groups, having people to turn to in difficult times provides both emotional relief and practical guidance. Third, practicing self-compassion is critical. Many people respond to adversity by being overly harsh on themselves, believing that they should be stronger, better, or more capable. Yet research has shown that self-compassion, treating oneself with kindness and understanding, rather than self-criticism, enhances resilience. Those who practice self-compassion recognize that struggle is part of the human experience, and that imperfection does not equate to failure. Adversity is not something to be feared or avoided. It is an integral part of life's journey. While hardship brings pain, it also carries the potential for immense growth, transformation, and self-discovery. Those who learn to embrace struggle as a teacher, rather than an enemy, unlock a level of strength that cannot be attained in comfort. By developing emotional regulation, shifting perspectives, learning from hardship, and cultivating resilience, individuals can turn life's most difficult moments into catalysts for profound personal evolution. In the end, strength is not built in ease, but in endurance. The most powerful, unbreakable individuals are not those who have never faced hardship, but those who have allowed adversity to shape them, refine them, and elevate them into their highest selves. Chapter 6. The Art of Adaptation, the Necessity of Adaptability in a Changing World. Life is an ever-changing landscape, unpredictable and filled with moments that demand flexibility. No matter how well one plans, the reality is that unexpected circumstances, shifting environments, and unforeseen challenges will arise. Adaptability is not merely a desirable trait, but a necessity for survival and success. Those who resist change find themselves stuck in outdated patterns, unable to move forward, while those who embrace the fluidity of life are the ones who thrive. Adaptability is the bridge between hardship and opportunity, between loss and reinvention. It is the ability to shift perspectives, to modify strategies, and to evolve in response to new realities. Many people struggle with adaptation because they are deeply attached to the familiar. They find comfort in routines, in predictability, and in the security of knowing what comes next. Yet, Comfort zones can become prisons if they prevent growth. The truth is, the world is constantly shifting, and those who are unwilling to change with it will be left behind. History is filled with examples of individuals and civilizations that failed because they refused to evolve. The ability to adapt is not just about surviving disruption, but about using it as a stepping stone for growth. It is about recognizing that what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow, and rather than fearing change, one must learn to harness it. At its core, adaptability is a mindset, a willingness to be flexible, to experiment, and to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. It is a skill that can be cultivated, refined, and strengthened over time. Those who master the art of adaptation develop an unshakable confidence in their ability to handle whatever life throws their way. They become resilient, resourceful, and open to the endless possibilities that exist beyond their initial plans. Breaking free from resistance, overcoming fear of change. One of the greatest barriers to adaptability is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of stepping outside of one's comfort zone. This fear is deeply ingrained in the human psyche, a survival mechanism that warns against uncertainty. The mind is wired to seek stability because stability has historically equated to safety. However, in the modern world, clinging too tightly to certainty often leads to stagnation. Growth requires risk, and risk requires a willingness to step into the unknown. To overcome resistance to change, one must first recognize that uncertainty is not inherently dangerous. The discomfort of unfamiliar territory is often a sign of expansion, a signal that something new is unfolding. Instead of seeing change as a threat, individuals can train themselves to see it as an adventure, an opportunity for discovery. This shift in perspective is crucial because it transforms fear into curiosity. When one views uncertainty as a chance to learn rather than a danger to avoid, they unlock the ability to move forward with confidence. Another powerful strategy for breaking free from resistance is to cultivate a mindset of experimentation. Instead of approaching life with rigid expectations, adaptable individuals treat every situation as an experiment. They are willing to try new approaches, test different methods, and adjust based on what they learn. This experimental mindset removes the pressure of having to be perfect and replaces it with a sense of curiosity and playfulness. Every setback becomes data, every failure a lesson, and every unexpected turn a chance to discover something new. The role of emotional agility in adaptation. Adaptability is not just about external actions. It is also about internal flexibility, the ability to navigate emotions with agility and resilience. Emotional agility is the skill of recognizing, processing, and responding to emotions in a way that supports growth rather than hinders it. Those who lack emotional agility often become stuck in their initial reactions, unable to move forward because they are overwhelmed by fear, frustration, or disappointment. However, those who have mastered emotional adaptability can acknowledge their emotions without being controlled by them. One of the most effective ways to develop emotional agility is to practice self-awareness. When faced with a challenging situation, instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to observe your emotions. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Is this reaction serving me or holding me back? By creating a gap between emotion and action, individuals gain the ability to choose their response rather than being driven by unconscious patterns. Another key aspect of emotional adaptability is learning to embrace discomfort. Growth often comes with temporary unease, and those who avoid discomfort at all costs limit their ability to evolve. Instead of resisting difficult emotions, learn to sit with them, understand them, and use them as signals for growth. Discomfort is often a sign that transformation is taking place, and by leaning into it rather than avoiding it, individuals accelerate their capacity to adapt. Learning from nature. the ultimate example of adaptability. Nature offers some of the most profound lessons on adaptability. Every living organism, from the tiniest microbe to the most complex ecosystems, survives through its ability to adjust to its environment. Trees bend in the wind rather than breaking. Animals evolve over generations to survive in changing landscapes. Rivers carve new paths when faced with obstacles. Nature does not resist change. It flows with it, constantly reshaping and reinventing itself to thrive. One of the most powerful metaphors for adaptability is that of the bamboo tree. Unlike rigid trees that snap in strong winds, bamboo is flexible. It bends with the storm, swaying and adjusting to the forces around it, but it does not break. In fact, its flexibility makes it one of the strongest plants in existence. This is the essence of true adaptability, not rigid resistance, but flexible strength. Humans can learn from nature's adaptability by embracing fluidity in their own lives. Instead of clinging to fixed plans, they can remain open to new possibilities. Instead of viewing obstacles as dead ends, they can find alternate routes. Instead of fearing the unknown, they can trust in their ability to navigate whatever comes next. The more one aligns with the natural rhythms of change, the easier it becomes to move through life with grace and resilience. Practical strategies for cultivating adaptability. Developing adaptability requires conscious effort and practice. Here are several practical strategies to strengthen this skill. 1. Adopt a beginner's mindset. Approach life with the mindset of a student, always willing to learn and explore new perspectives. This prevents rigid thinking and opens the door to growth. 2. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, ask, how can this experience help me grow? What can I learn from this? Reframing difficulties as stepping stones builds resilience. 3. Practice mindfulness and presence. Adaptability is enhanced by staying present in the moment, rather than clinging to past expectations or future anxieties. Mindfulness helps individuals respond to change with clarity rather than resistance. 4. Strengthen problem-solving skills. The ability to think creatively and find solutions is crucial for adaptability. Practice looking at problems from multiple angles and experimenting with different approaches. 5. Embrace flexibility in routine. Small acts of adaptability, such as trying new foods, altering daily habits, or exploring unfamiliar environments, help build mental flexibility over time. 6. Surround yourself with adaptable people. Mindsets are contagious. Being around individuals who embrace change and innovation fosters an environment where adaptability becomes second nature. Adaptability is not just a skill, but a way of life. It is the ability to flow with change rather than resist it, to transform challenges into stepping stones, and to navigate uncertainty with confidence and curiosity. Those who master adaptability develop an unshakable inner strength, knowing that no matter what life brings, they have the capacity to adjust, evolve, and thrive. The world will always be in flux, but those who learn to dance with change rather than fight against it will always find a way forward. Chapter 7. The Strength in Perspective. The power of perspective in shaping reality. The way individuals perceive their circumstances determines the way they experience life. Perspective is not just a passive lens through which the world is viewed. It is an active force that shapes thoughts, emotions, and actions. Two people can undergo the same event and yet walk away with entirely different understandings. One seeing a tragedy, the other an opportunity. It is not the event itself that holds meaning, but the interpretation assigned to it. This truth underscores the importance of perspective, for within its grasp lies the ability to turn struggles into strength, despair into hope, and limitations into boundless potential. Perspective is the silent architect of destiny, sculpting the internal narrative that governs decision-making and self-belief. A fixed, rigid mindset sees setbacks as proof of inadequacy, as insurmountable roadblocks that confirm failure. A flexible, growth-oriented perspective views these same moments as lessons, as stepping stones toward resilience and wisdom. The mind is not limited by external events, but by the interpretations placed upon them. The ability to shift perspective, to see beyond the immediate pain or frustration, is one of the most powerful tools available in navigating life's complexities. The greatest transformations often occur not when external conditions change, but when the lens through which they are viewed is adjusted. A loss can become a lesson. Rejection can become redirection, and even pain can become a catalyst for strength. Every challenge carries within it the potential for growth, but only those willing to shift their perspective will ever uncover it. Those who learn to master their outlook will find that they are no longer at the mercy of circumstances, but in command of their own experiences. Reframing adversity, the key to emotional resilience. Adversity is inevitable, but suffering is a choice shaped by perspective. The ability to reframe challenges, to extract meaning from difficulty, is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about responding to it in a way that fosters strength. When individuals approach obstacles with the belief that they hold a hidden benefit, they begin to uncover possibilities that others overlook. This shift in perspective is not about ignoring pain or pretending that struggles do not exist, but about recognizing that every hardship carries the seed of personal transformation. Psychologists have long studied the phenomenon of cognitive reframing, a technique in which negative thoughts are consciously reshaped to create more empowering narratives. When faced with failure, instead of thinking, "I am not good enough," a reframed perspective might say, "This is an opportunity to improve and try again with greater wisdom." When faced with loss, instead of dwelling on what is missing, a reframed outlook might focus on gratitude for what was experienced and the lessons gained. This conscious redirection of thought does not change reality, but changes the way reality is perceived, and in doing so, alters emotional responses and actions. Great leaders, athletes, and innovators throughout history have demonstrated the power of reframing adversity. When Thomas Edison was asked about his many failed attempts at creating the light bulb, he famously responded that he had not failed, but had merely discovered thousands of ways that did not work. His perspective did not allow failure to become a limitation, but instead transformed it into an essential part of the learning process. Those who master the ability to reframe adversity find that they are never truly defeated. They are simply being refined, prepared for something greater. The influence of perspective on relationships. Perspective does not only shape personal experiences, it also determines how relationships are formed and sustained. The way individuals interpret the actions and words of others influences the quality of their interactions. Misunderstandings often arise not because of the actual words spoken, but because of the assumptions placed upon them. A simple statement can be perceived as an attack or as constructive feedback, depending on the listener's perspective. This underscores the importance of conscious interpretation in fostering meaningful relationships. People tend to project their own fears, insecurities, and past experiences onto present situations. A person who has been betrayed before may interpret harmless actions as signs of deceit. Someone who has faced rejection may see indifference where none exists. The challenge then is to separate past wounds from present realities, ensuring that perspective is not clouded by unresolved pain. This requires a deliberate effort to seek clarity, to ask questions before making assumptions, and to give others the benefit of the doubt. Shifting perspective within relationships also means recognizing that every individual sees the world differently. Two people can experience the same event, yet walk away with completely different interpretations. Understanding this can foster greater empathy, allowing for conversations that build bridges rather than walls. Instead of assuming the worst in others, Choosing to see their actions through a lens of understanding and patience can transform conflicts into opportunities for connection. Relationships thrive when perspective is widened beyond personal biases, allowing space for compassion and shared growth. Harnessing perspective to create a life of meaning. Beyond adversity and relationships, perspective shapes the overall trajectory of life. Those who see the world through a lens of scarcity will always feel lacking, no matter how much they acquire. Those who cultivate a perspective of abundance recognize the richness of every moment, finding fulfillment in both success and struggle. The choice to view life as meaningful, as an ongoing journey of growth, is a choice that determines the quality of one's experiences. One of the most powerful ways to harness perspective is through gratitude. Studies have shown that individuals who regularly practice gratitude experience increased happiness, reduced stress, and improved well-being. Gratitude shifts focus from what is missing to what is present, transforming even ordinary moments into sources of joy. The act of appreciating small victories, of recognizing the beauty in everyday life, creates a perspective that fosters resilience and fulfillment. Another essential aspect of shaping perspective is intentional storytelling. Every individual tells themselves a story about who they are and what their life means. Some tell a story of limitation, of being victims to circumstances beyond their control. Others tell a story of strength, of rising above challenges and crafting their own destiny. The stories people choose to tell themselves become self-fulfilling prophecies, dictating the way they approach life's trials. By consciously choosing empowering narratives, individuals can shape their perspective in a way that aligns with their highest potential. Perspective is the silent force that determines how life is experienced. It shapes responses to adversity, influences relationships, and defines the overall sense of meaning and fulfillment. The ability to shift perspective, to see challenges as opportunities, to find gratitude in every moment, and to craft a personal narrative that fosters strength, is one of the most valuable skills an individual can develop. By mastering the art of perspective, one gains not only resilience, but also the power to create a life of purpose, growth, and unwavering strength. Chapter 8. The Strength in Setbacks. The inevitability of setbacks and their hidden potential. No journey, no matter how well planned or meticulously executed, is free from setbacks. Failure, rejection, and disappointment are universal experiences, touching the lives of all who dare to strive for something greater than the ordinary. Yet, while setbacks are inevitable, their impact is determined not by their occurrence, but by how they are perceived and responded to. Some allow setbacks to define them, seeing them as evidence of personal inadequacy or proof that their dreams are out of reach. Others recognize setbacks for what they truly are: moments of recalibration, lessons in disguise, and necessary stepping stones to eventual success. The difference lies not in the setback itself, but in the perspective and resilience of the individual facing it. History is filled with stories of those who turned their greatest failures into their greatest triumphs. The world's most influential figures, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries, were often shaped by the very setbacks that once seemed insurmountable. The key was not avoiding failure, but learning from it, refining their approach, and using each obstacle as fuel for future success. The most significant breakthroughs often emerge not in the absence of struggle, but because of it. Setbacks are not stop signs, they are recalibrations, forcing individuals to reassess their approach, develop new skills, and emerge stronger than before. To truly harness the power of setbacks, one must first accept that they are an unavoidable part of growth. There is no success without failure, no mastery without mistakes, and no strength without struggle. The path to greatness is paved with obstacles, but those who persist, who learn from every challenge, and who refuse to let setbacks deter them, ultimately find themselves on the other side, stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever before. The emotional impact of setbacks and how to process them. Constructively experiencing a setback can trigger a range of emotions: frustration, disappointment, self-doubt, and even despair. The immediate reaction is often one of resistance, an internal struggle against reality as it is. The mind races with thoughts of what could have been, lamenting the loss of an expected outcome. This emotional turbulence is natural, but it is not a place to remain. The difference between those who are broken by setbacks and those who rise above them lies in how they process these emotions and channel them towards something productive. One of the most effective ways to navigate the emotional weight of setbacks is to embrace self-compassion. Too often, individuals become their own harshest critics, berating themselves for their perceived failures rather than recognizing their efforts. Instead of asking, "Why did I fail?" a more constructive question is, "What can I learn from this?" Shifting from self-blame to self-inquiry creates space for growth rather than stagnation. It allows the setback to become a source of wisdom rather than a source of shame. Another critical aspect of processing setbacks is recognizing the temporary nature of failure. In the heat of disappointment, it is easy to feel as though the setback defines the entire journey. However, no single failure is permanent unless it is accepted as such. Every setback carries an expiration date, and those who continue moving forward inevitably leave failure behind them, transforming it into a stepping stone rather than a dead end. The key is to maintain forward momentum even in the face of temporary defeat. Extracting lessons. The growth hidden within challenges. Every setback holds a lesson, but only those willing to look beyond their frustration will uncover it. When viewed correctly, setbacks offer insights into weaknesses that need strengthening, strategies that need refining, and blind spots that need awareness. They reveal areas for improvement, providing invaluable information that can be used to adjust course and move forward with greater precision. Those who fear failure often miss these lessons, allowing the pain of the setback to overshadow the wisdom it carries. However, those who seek out these lessons find themselves growing exponentially with every challenge they face. One of the most effective ways to extract lessons from setbacks is through reflection. This does not mean dwelling on failure, but rather analyzing it with a strategic mind. What went wrong? What external factors played a role? What internal limitations need to be addressed? What could have been done differently? This process transforms setbacks into a form of mentorship, one that, while harsh at times, provides invaluable guidance for the road ahead. Many of the world's greatest innovations were born from setbacks. Scientists who failed hundreds of times before making groundbreaking discoveries. Entrepreneurs who endured business failures before achieving success. Athletes who faced defeat before becoming champions. All of them extracted lessons from their failures, rather than allowing those failures to define them. Their ability to analyze setbacks objectively, rather than emotionally, allowed them to refine their approach and come back stronger. This mindset shift, viewing setbacks as feedback rather than failure, is what separates those who give up from those who rise. Building resilience, strengthening the mindset to withstand setbacks. Resilience is not an inherent trait, but a skill developed through experience and deliberate practice. Those who repeatedly face setbacks and choose to rise again develop a mental toughness that makes them nearly unstoppable. They learn that pain is temporary, that disappointment is fleeting, and that persistence is the single greatest determinant of success. The ability to withstand setbacks without losing motivation is what defines long-term achievement. Building resilience requires cultivating a mindset of adaptability. Those who remain rigid in their expectations, unwilling to adjust to unforeseen circumstances, often break under the pressure of setbacks. However, those who embrace flexibility, who see failure not as an endpoint, but as a redirection, are able to navigate setbacks with greater ease. They understand that success is not about a perfect linear path, but about continuous refinement. Another key factor in resilience is maintaining a strong sense of purpose. When individuals have a deep, unwavering reason behind their actions, setbacks lose their power to deter them. Purpose acts as an anchor, keeping individuals grounded even in the midst of uncertainty. When the reason for pushing forward is strong enough, no setback is enough to stop progress. Those who cultivate a purpose-driven mindset find that setbacks become minor detours rather than impassable barriers. Setbacks, while painful, are some of the most valuable experiences in life. They teach lessons that success never could. They reveal strengths that might have otherwise gone undiscovered, and they build resilience that prepares individuals for even greater challenges ahead. The difference between those who are defeated by setbacks and those who rise above them lies in perspective, emotional processing, and the ability to extract wisdom from difficulty. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an integral part of it. Every successful individual has faced failure. Every great achievement has been preceded by obstacles. And every remarkable story of triumph has been shaped by struggle. The key is to see setbacks not as proof of inadequacy, but as evidence of progress. Each challenge overcome is a testament to strength. Each lesson learned is a step closer to mastery, and each moment of perseverance is another brick in the foundation of greatness. In the end, setbacks do not define a person. How they respond to them does. Those who refuse to let failure stop them, who take every challenge as an opportunity to grow, and who persist despite obstacles are the ones who ultimately succeed. The journey to greatness is never smooth, but for those willing to embrace the struggles along the way, the destination is always worth it. Chapter 9. The Power of Mindset in Overcoming Challenges. The Mind as the Architect of Reality. The mind is the most powerful tool a person possesses, yet it is often the most underutilized. It shapes perception, dictates emotional responses, and ultimately defines what is possible. Two individuals can face the same challenge. One will crumble under its weight, believing it to be insurmountable, while the other will rise, seeing the challenge as an opportunity for growth. The difference lies not in external circumstances, but in internal perspective. The way the mind interprets difficulty determines whether it becomes a roadblock or a stepping stone. Those who cultivate the right mindset, one of resilience, adaptability, and unwavering belief, find themselves able to navigate even the most daunting obstacles. At its core, mindset is a set of beliefs and attitudes that influence behavior. A person who approaches life with a fixed mindset believes that abilities, intelligence, and potential are predetermined and unchangeable. They see failure as proof of limitation and avoid challenges for fear of being exposed as inadequate. In contrast, those who embrace a growth mindset understand that abilities can be developed, intelligence can expand, and potential is only limited by effort and persistence. They see failure as an essential part of learning, a necessary step in the process of improvement. This fundamental difference in perspective determines how individuals respond to adversity, shaping their ability to overcome obstacles and turn struggles into strength. The brain itself reinforces whichever mindset is adopted. Neuroscience has shown that thoughts create neural pathways, patterns that become stronger with repetition. A person who consistently tells themselves they are incapable or doomed to fail strengthens those neural connections, making negative thinking automatic. Conversely, those who regularly challenge their limitations, who see difficulties as opportunities, strengthen neural pathways associated with resilience and problem solving. This means that mindset is not fixed, it can be rewired. Those who commit to developing a mindset that embraces challenges, persists in the face of obstacles, and remains optimistic despite setbacks will find themselves better equipped to handle anything life throws their way. Rewiring thought patterns for resilience. Many people unknowingly sabotage their potential through self-defeating thought patterns. Thoughts like, I am not good enough, I always fail, things never work out for me, become deeply ingrained, influencing behavior in ways that reinforce those very beliefs. A person who believes they are destined to fail will hesitate to take risks, shy away from opportunities, and approach challenges half-heartedly. When failure inevitably follows, it only strengthens their negative belief, creating a cycle that becomes increasingly difficult to break. The only way to escape this cycle is through conscious rewiring, challenging and replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. One of the most effective ways to rewire thought patterns is through affirmations and self-directed questioning. Instead of saying, I am not good at this, asking, how can I improve? Shifts the mind from resignation to curiosity and problem solving. Instead of saying, this is too hard, reframing it as I am learning something valuable from this challenge alters the emotional response. Over time, these small shifts accumulate, replacing a mindset of limitation with one of possibility. The brain, ever adaptable, begins to form new neural pathways that make resilience and optimism the default response to difficulty. Visualization is another powerful tool for rewiring mindset. Studies have shown that the brain does not distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. Athletes, performers, and high achievers use visualization techniques to mentally rehearse success, strengthening the neural pathways associated with confidence and capability. By consistently visualizing themselves overcoming obstacles, handling challenges with composure, and achieving their goals, individuals can rewire their mindset to expect success rather than fear failure. This mental conditioning makes it easier to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, as the brain has already rehearsed navigating such difficulties with resilience and determination. The role of self-talk in strengthening mindset. The conversations individuals have with themselves shape their reality. Self-talk, the internal dialogue that runs through the mind, can either be an ally or an enemy in the pursuit of success. Negative self-talk fuels doubt, reinforces fears, and undermines confidence. It magnifies mistakes, makes challenges appear more daunting than they are, and convinces individuals that they are incapable of overcoming adversity. On the other hand, positive self-talk serves as a source of strength, reminding individuals of their past successes, their ability to adapt, and their capacity for growth. One of the most effective ways to cultivate a strong mindset is to become aware of self-talk and consciously direct it toward empowerment rather than discouragement. Instead of saying, I will never be able to do this, replacing it with, I am learning and improving every day shifts the internal dialogue from defeat to progress. Instead of thinking, I am terrible at this, reframing it as, I am in the process of getting better, alters the emotional experience of the challenge. This deliberate shift in language trains the brain to associate difficulty with growth rather than failure, making resilience a natural response. It is important to note that positive self-talk is not about blind optimism or ignoring difficulties. It is about acknowledging challenges while reinforcing the belief that they can be overcome. It is about replacing self-criticism with constructive feedback, turning negative inner dialogue into words of encouragement. The mind listens to what it is told repeatedly, and those who make a habit of speaking to themselves with kindness and strength will find that their mindset transforms, allowing them to approach life's challenges with unwavering confidence. Turning challenges into mental strength training challenges, rather than being obstacles to success, are opportunities to develop mental strength. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, the mind grows more resilient through difficulty. Every challenge faced and overcome reinforces the belief in one's ability to handle adversity. Every struggle navigated successfully adds another layer of mental toughness. This means that instead of fearing challenges, individuals should welcome them as training grounds for strength. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is that it comes from avoiding difficulty. In reality, success is built upon it. The most capable, confident, and resilient individuals are those who have faced hardships and emerged stronger. They have learned to embrace discomfort, knowing that within it lies the opportunity for growth. They have trained themselves to see challenges not as threats, but as invitations to expand their abilities. This shift in perspective, seeing challenges as a form of mental conditioning, transforms the way adversity is experienced. Instead of being overwhelmed by difficulty, those with a strong mindset approach it with curiosity, asking, "What can I learn from this? How will this make me stronger?" This approach not only reduces fear and anxiety, but also builds an unshakable inner strength that allows individuals to navigate even the most difficult circumstances with confidence and grace. Mindset is the foundation upon which all success is built. It determines how challenges are perceived, how setbacks are handled, and ultimately, how life is experienced. Those who cultivate a mindset of growth, resilience, and unwavering self-belief will find themselves capable of overcoming obstacles that once seemed impossible. They will discover that their greatest limitations were never external, but internal, products of their own thinking. By consciously rewiring thought patterns, practicing empowering self-talk, and viewing challenges as opportunities for growth, individuals can develop a mindset that thrives in adversity. They will learn that difficulties are not meant to break them, but to build them. Every challenge faced with the right mindset becomes another step toward greatness, another lesson learned, and another testament to the power of resilience. In the end, life will always present challenges, but the way those challenges are met determines the outcome. A strong mindset does not eliminate obstacles. It makes them irrelevant. Those who master their minds master their destinies, and those who cultivate the right mindset will find themselves unstoppable in the pursuit of their goals. Chapter 10: The Science of Emotional Resilience and Inner Strength. Understanding emotional resilience, the key to long-term strength. Emotional resilience is not simply the ability to endure hardship, but the capacity to navigate adversity with adaptability, mental strength, and a steady sense of purpose. It is what separates those who remain paralyzed by setbacks from those who emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable. At its core, resilience is not an inherent trait that some people are born with, while others lack. It is a skill, one that can be cultivated and strengthened through conscious effort. The way individuals respond to difficulties is not predetermined. Rather, it is shaped by habits, beliefs, and emotional conditioning. The brain, through its remarkable neuroplasticity, can rewire itself to approach struggles with a mindset that fosters growth instead of fear. This means that resilience is not an unreachable quality, but something that can be developed by anyone willing to put in the work. Emotional resilience is often misunderstood as simply being able to stay strong in the face of adversity, but it is far more complex. It involves regulating emotions, maintaining a balanced perspective, and finding meaning even in the midst of hardship. A resilient individual does not ignore pain or suppress emotions. Instead, they acknowledge and process them in a way that allows them to move forward. This ability to manage emotions effectively prevents prolonged stress, anxiety, and burnout, ensuring that even the most difficult experiences do not leave permanent damage, but rather contribute to growth. The difference between those who break under pressure and those who thrive is not the presence or absence of difficulty, but the ability to regulate emotions in a way that allows for clarity, control, and a sense of direction. Developing emotional resilience begins with self-awareness, the ability to recognize one's emotional responses and understand their origins. Many people react to challenges based on deeply ingrained patterns, often without questioning whether those responses are helpful or harmful. Some withdraw in the face of difficulty, others lash out, and many succumb to self-doubt. However, Those who take the time to analyze their emotional reactions can begin to reshape them, replacing automatic responses with intentional ones. Instead of allowing emotions to dictate behavior, resilient individuals learn to pause, reflect, and choose the most constructive course of action. This shift from reactive to proactive emotional management is a cornerstone of lasting strength. Reframing hardships, finding meaning in difficult times. One of the most effective ways to develop emotional resilience is through the process of reframing, shifting the way a situation is interpreted to uncover hidden opportunities for growth. Hardship, when viewed through the right lens, can become a catalyst for personal transformation, rather than merely a source of suffering. Those who master the art of reframing understand that while they may not have control over external circumstances, they always have control over their perspective. This realization grants them the ability to extract value from even the most painful experiences. The practice of reframing involves asking empowering questions rather than dwelling on negative assumptions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a resilient individual will ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow because of this challenge?" This simple shift in mindset prevents a victim mentality from taking hold and instead encourages personal responsibility, adaptability, and long-term development. Many of the world's greatest leaders, innovators, and thinkers have achieved success not despite their struggles, but because of them. They have learned to view failures as stepping stones, obstacles as lessons, and adversity as a tool for refining their character and capabilities. Reframing also involves recognizing the impermanence of difficulty. When faced with a hardship, it is easy to believe that the pain will last forever, but in reality, all challenges are temporary. Understanding this helps prevent unnecessary despair and fosters the patience needed to endure difficult times. Additionally, reframing involves acknowledging personal growth. Each challenge successfully navigated builds confidence, proving that one is stronger than they once believed. By keeping track of past victories, individuals can remind themselves that they have faced hardship before and emerged resilient, an empowering realization that strengthens their ability to handle future difficulties. The role of emotional intelligence in resilience is deeply connected to emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions effectively. Those with high emotional intelligence are better equipped to handle stress, navigate interpersonal conflicts, and maintain a sense of clarity even in chaotic circumstances. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing emotions, but about developing a deep awareness of them and learning to respond in ways that promote long-term well-being. It is the ability to step outside of an immediate emotional reaction, assess the situation objectively, and choose a response that aligns with one's greater goals. A key component of emotional intelligence is self-regulation, the ability to control impulsive reactions and remain composed under pressure. This is especially important in moments of crisis when emotions run high and decision-making is clouded by fear, anger, or anxiety. Individuals who cultivate self-regulation do not allow their emotions to dictate their actions. Instead, they take a moment to assess their feelings, acknowledge them, and then respond in a way that aligns with their values and objectives. This skill is invaluable in both personal and professional settings, as it prevents rash decisions, unnecessary conflict, and prolonged stress. Another essential aspect of emotional intelligence is empathy, the ability to understand and relate to the emotions of others. Resilient individuals recognize that their struggles are not unique to them. Everyone faces hardships, pain, and uncertainty. This understanding fosters connection, reducing feelings of isolation and creating a support system that strengthens resilience. Those who develop emotional intelligence find that they are not only able to handle their own difficulties more effectively, but also serve as a source of strength for those around them. Building a daily resilience practice. Resilience is not something that is built overnight. It is a skill that must be actively cultivated through consistent practice. Developing emotional strength requires daily habits that reinforce mental toughness, adaptability, and a balanced emotional state. These habits serve as the foundation upon which resilience is built, ensuring that when challenges arise, the necessary skills are already in place. One of the most effective practices for strengthening resilience is mindfulness, the ability to remain present and aware of one's thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without becoming overwhelmed by them. Mindfulness trains the brain to respond to stress with clarity rather than panic, allowing individuals to approach challenges with a level-headed perspective. Simple mindfulness exercises, such as deep breathing, meditation, or journaling, can significantly improve emotional resilience by fostering self-awareness and reducing emotional reactivity. Another essential resilience-building habit is intentional self-care. Many people neglect their physical and emotional well-being when faced with challenges, believing that pushing through exhaustion and stress is the only way to persevere. However, true resilience comes from recognizing that rest, recovery, and nourishment are not signs of weakness, but necessary components of strength. Prioritizing sleep, maintaining healthy nutrition, engaging in physical activity, and setting aside time for relaxation are all crucial aspects of resilience. Lastly, fostering a strong support system is one of the most powerful ways to build emotional resilience. Humans are social creatures, and the ability to lean on others in times of hardship can make an immense difference. Resilient individuals recognize the value of connection, seeking out relationships that provide encouragement, wisdom, and perspective. They also understand that asking for help is not a sign of failure, but a sign of strength. Emotional resilience is not about avoiding pain or eliminating hardship, but about developing the capacity to face challenges with strength, wisdom, and adaptability. It is the ability to turn struggles into opportunities for growth, to regulate emotions in a way that fosters clarity and control, and to build a mindset that thrives in adversity. Those who commit to strengthening their emotional resilience will find that they are capable of handling far more than they once believed. They will discover that within every challenge lies the potential for transformation, and that by embracing difficulty rather than fearing it, they can cultivate an unshakable inner strength that will carry them through any obstacle life presents. Chapter 11. Harnessing the power of perspective for lasting positivity. The foundation of perspective: how perception shapes reality. The way individuals perceive the world is not merely a reflection of external events, but a deeply ingrained mental framework shaped by experiences, beliefs, and subconscious conditioning. This framework dictates how challenges are interpreted, how opportunities are recognized, and ultimately, how a person's emotional and psychological state is constructed. Two people can experience the same setback, perhaps the loss of a job, a rejection, or a sudden life shift, and yet respond in completely different ways. One may see it as the end of something valuable, a cruel injustice imposed upon them, while the other sees it as an open door, an opportunity to grow, adapt, and reinvent themselves. The difference between despair and hope, between stagnation and transformation, lies not in what happens, but in how it is perceived. Perspective is the silent architect of emotional resilience, shaping the lens through which difficulties are processed. The human brain, constantly filtering information, is biased toward preserving familiar thought patterns, reinforcing what is already believed to be true. If a person has developed a belief that they are unlucky, undeserving, or incapable, their mind will seek out evidence to confirm these assumptions. Likewise, if they believe they are capable, resourceful, and adaptable, their brain will reinforce these perspectives by identifying solutions and possibilities even in the face of adversity. This is the foundation of cognitive reframing, training the mind to restructure experiences in ways that cultivate strength rather than diminish it. Changing perspective is not about denying hardship or pretending that everything is positive. Rather, it is about consciously choosing a mindset that fosters growth and empowerment. It is about acknowledging difficulty while also recognizing the control one has over how they respond. People who master the art of perspective building find that external circumstances, no matter how challenging, do not dictate their emotional well-being. Instead of allowing events to shape them, they shape their experiences through interpretation and response. This ability transforms the way struggles are approached, turning obstacles into stepping stones, failures into lessons, and setbacks into catalysts for success. Rewiring thought patterns, shifting from limitation to possibility. The mind is not static. It is a dynamic system capable of change, growth, and adaptation. Neuroscience has demonstrated that thought patterns are not fixed. They can be rewired through repeated exposure to new perspectives. This means that even deeply ingrained habits of negative thinking, self-doubt, or fear can be reshaped into habits of optimism, confidence, and resilience. The key to this transformation lies in intentional mental conditioning, which involves actively choosing thoughts that reinforce a positive perspective. One of the most effective methods for rewiring thought patterns is the practice of cognitive awareness, monitoring inner dialogue and questioning automatic responses. Many people operate on mental autopilot, allowing their thoughts to run unchecked. If an individual repeatedly tells themselves they are not good enough, their brain will accept this as truth, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy. However, by becoming conscious of these internal narratives, one can challenge and replace them. Instead of instinctively thinking, "I can't do this," one can consciously replace it with "I am learning how to do this." This simple shift changes how the brain processes challenges, turning fear into a problem-solving mindset. Rewiring perspective also involves training the brain to focus on what is within one's control. Many individuals expend energy worrying about external factors, what others think, what could go wrong, or whether circumstances will align in their favor. But true empowerment comes from shifting focus inward, directing energy toward what can be controlled: effort, attitude, mindset, and response. By consistently practicing this redirection, the brain begins to develop a habit of looking for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. This perspective shift fosters resilience, allowing individuals to navigate uncertainty with confidence rather than fear. Another powerful technique for reshaping perspective is exposure to new experiences and ideas. The mind expands when it is introduced to different ways of thinking, whether through travel, conversation, reading, or personal challenges. Those who actively seek to broaden their perspective find that they become more adaptable, less rigid in their beliefs, and more capable of embracing change. The more perspectives one encounters, the more they recognize that challenges are rarely absolute. They are subjective interpretations that can be shifted, molded, and redefined. Finding strength in perspective, overcoming adversity with a growth mindset. Adversity is inevitable, but suffering is often a matter of perspective. Those who cultivate a growth mindset, a belief that abilities, intelligence, and emotional strength can be developed, approach setbacks with a sense of purpose rather than despair. They see failure not as evidence of personal inadequacy, but as a necessary step in the process of growth. This shift in perspective transforms the experience of hardship, making it a tool for development rather than an obstacle to progress. One of the most profound examples of the power of perspective is seen in individuals who have faced extreme hardship and emerged stronger. Survivors of illness, financial ruin, personal loss, or career setbacks often describe their struggles not as the end of something, but as the beginning of a new chapter. What separates those who remain stuck in suffering from those who rebuild their lives is the belief that adversity has meaning, that it holds within it a lesson, an opportunity, and a new direction. Developing a growth-oriented perspective also involves detaching from rigid expectations. Many people suffer not because of what happens, but because reality does not align with their expectations. They expect a certain career path to unfold in a specific way, a relationship to last forever, or life to follow a predictable trajectory. When these expectations are disrupted, suffering follows. However, those who cultivate a flexible perspective understand that life is fluid, unpredictable, and constantly evolving. Instead of clinging to how things should be, they embrace what is, adapting and finding new possibilities within change. Perspective as a lifelong practice, strengthening positivity through daily habits. Perspective is not a fixed trait, but a practice, one that requires continuous reinforcement and conscious effort. Just as physical strength is built through consistent exercise, mental strength is developed through daily habits that reinforce positive thinking, adaptability, and resilience. One of the most effective habits for strengthening perspective is gratitude. The act of intentionally focusing on what is good rather than what is lacking rewires the brain to recognize abundance rather than deficiency. Those who practice gratitude regularly find that they naturally begin to interpret experiences through a more positive lens, even in the midst of hardship. Another critical habit is the intentional consumption of positive influences. The human mind is deeply affected by the information it absorbs, whether through media, conversations, or self-talk. Those who surround themselves with negativity, whether in the form of toxic relationships, pessimistic news, or limiting beliefs, will find their perspective shaped accordingly. However, those who intentionally seek out inspiration, learning, and encouragement cultivate a mindset that is solution-oriented, hopeful, and strong. Reflection is also an essential part of maintaining a strong perspective. Taking time to assess challenges, acknowledge progress, and recognize personal growth prevents negative experiences from being seen as failures. Instead of allowing difficulties to define them, individuals who reflect regularly see their struggles as milestones in their journey toward greater wisdom and strength. Perspective is the foundation upon which all emotional resilience, strength, and success are built. It is not external events, but the interpretation of those events that determines one's experience of life. Those who master the art of perspective find that they can face any challenge with confidence, transform setbacks into opportunities, and create a life defined not by limitation, but by possibility. By actively shaping the way they view the world, individuals unlock a source of power that allows them to turn struggles into stepping stones, ensuring that no hardship is ever wasted, but instead becomes a catalyst for growth, wisdom, and lasting positivity. Chapter 12. The Science of Emotional Resilience, Building Inner Strength Through Adversity. The nature of emotional resilience. Why some thrive, while others struggle. Emotional resilience is not an innate quality bestowed upon a select few. Rather, it is a learned and cultivated ability that allows individuals to withstand stress, recover from hardship, and adapt to life's inevitable fluctuations. Some people emerge from adversity stronger, more confident, and more determined, while others find themselves immobilized by despair and fear. This disparity is not a matter of luck, but rather the result of distinct mindsets, habits, and coping mechanisms. The core of emotional resilience lies in the way a person perceives and responds to difficulty. Those who believe challenges are insurmountable tend to withdraw, feeling powerless in the face of adversity. Conversely, those who view hardships as opportunities for growth develop an internal reservoir of strength that allows them to navigate difficulties without losing themselves in negativity. At the heart of resilience is an individual's ability to regulate their emotions. When faced with failure, rejection, or unexpected change, the immediate response is often one of distress, an instinctual reaction to protect oneself from harm. However, Resilient individuals do not allow these initial emotions to dictate their actions or perceptions. Instead, they recognize their feelings, process them, and consciously choose their response. This emotional regulation prevents them from being consumed by negativity, enabling them to maintain clarity, perspective, and a sense of control even in the most challenging circumstances. Equally important is the ability to find meaning in adversity. Research has shown that people who attach purpose to their struggles, whether by viewing them as learning experiences, stepping stones to future success, or opportunities to develop character, are significantly more likely to bounce back. This mindset, often referred to as post-traumatic growth, allows individuals to not only endure hardships, but to emerge from them with greater wisdom, deeper self-awareness, and a renewed sense of purpose. The role of self-awareness in strengthening resilience. One of the most powerful tools in cultivating emotional resilience is self-awareness. Those who understand their emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and habitual responses to stress are better equipped to manage adversity with intention rather than reaction. Without self-awareness, individuals often fall into destructive cycles, repeating the same ineffective coping mechanisms that keep them stuck in negativity. Recognizing one's thought patterns is the first step toward breaking these cycles and replacing them with healthier, more constructive responses. Developing self-awareness requires deliberate reflection and observation. When confronted with difficulty, resilient individuals take a step back and assess their emotional state, asking themselves key questions. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Is my perception of the situation accurate, or am I allowing fear and doubt to distort reality? What can I learn from this experience? These questions shift focus from reaction to analysis, allowing for more intentional and constructive decision-making. Another critical aspect of self-awareness is recognizing limiting beliefs, deeply ingrained assumptions about oneself that can hinder resilience. Many people unknowingly carry beliefs that undermine their ability to cope with stress, such as, "I'm not strong enough to handle this," "I always fail under pressure," or "There's no way I can recover from this setback." These beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies, shaping behaviors and perceptions in ways that reinforce weakness rather than strength. However, by identifying and challenging these beliefs, individuals can reframe their internal dialogue, replacing doubt with confidence and helplessness with empowerment. The science of stress, understanding and managing the body's response to adversity. Resilience is not solely a matter of mindset. It is also deeply connected to the body's physiological response to stress. When confronted with a challenge, the brain triggers a cascade of hormonal reactions designed to prepare the body for survival. Cortisol, often referred to as the stress hormone, floods the system, increasing alertness, sharpening focus, and enhancing the body's ability to react quickly. While this response can be beneficial in short bursts, prolonged exposure to stress hormones can lead to exhaustion, anxiety, and even physical illness. Resilient individuals understand how to regulate their body's stress response, preventing it from overwhelming them. One of the most effective ways to do this is through intentional breath control. Studies have shown that slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the effects of stress by lowering heart rate, reducing blood pressure, and promoting a sense of calm. This simple yet powerful practice enables individuals to regain control over their physiological state, allowing them to respond to challenges with clarity rather than panic. Physical movement is another essential tool in managing stress and building resilience. Exercise has been shown to reduce cortisol levels, release endorphins, the body's natural mood enhancers, and improve overall emotional regulation. Resilient individuals incorporate movement into their routines, not just as a form of physical fitness, but as a method of maintaining mental and emotional equilibrium. Whether through running, yoga, weight training, or even walking, consistent physical activity strengthens the body's ability to handle stress and recover from adversity. Equally important is the role of sleep in resilience. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs cognitive function, reduces emotional regulation, and exacerbates stress responses, making it significantly harder to cope with challenges. Resilient individuals prioritize rest, recognizing that a well-rested mind is far more capable of handling difficulties than one that is fatigued and overworked. By establishing healthy sleep habits, such as maintaining a consistent bedtime, reducing screen exposure before bed, and creating a calming nighttime routine, individuals can enhance their ability to process stress and recover from adversity more effectively. Building resilience through relationships and social support. While resilience is an internal trait, it is also heavily influenced by external factors, particularly relationships. Those who have strong social connections are significantly more capable of handling stress and adversity than those who feel isolated. The presence of supportive individuals, whether friends, family, mentors, or colleagues, provides a psychological safety net, reminding individuals that they are not alone in their struggles. Resilient individuals cultivate and maintain strong relationships, understanding that seeking support is not a sign of weakness, but rather a strategic tool for coping. They are intentional about surrounding themselves with positive, encouraging people who uplift and challenge them. These relationships provide perspective, offering alternative viewpoints that prevent individuals from becoming trapped in narrow, self-defeating thought patterns. Equally important is the ability to ask for help when needed. Many people struggle with the belief that they must handle difficulties alone, fearing that reaching out for support is an admission of failure. However, the most resilient individuals recognize that strength is not about enduring hardship in isolation, but about leveraging the resources available to them. Whether through open communication, seeking mentorship, or engaging in community, those who actively build support systems create an environment that fosters resilience and growth. Resilience is not a destination, but a continuous practice, one that requires ongoing self-awareness, intentional emotional regulation, and conscious effort. Those who commit to developing resilience find that their capacity to handle adversity expands, enabling them to face life's uncertainties with courage, confidence, and adaptability. By understanding the science of resilience, mastering emotional regulation, prioritizing physical well-being, and cultivating strong social connections, individuals can transform hardship into opportunity, ensuring that no challenge is ever faced in vain. Through this lifelong commitment, resilience becomes not just a tool for survival, but a foundation for lasting positivity, growth, and fulfillment. Chapter 13. The Power of Perspective, Shaping Reality Through Mindset and Perception. The lens through which we see the world, the way we perceive the world, is not dictated by objective reality alone, but is shaped by the internal filters through which we process our experiences. Two individuals can face the same challenge, yet one may see it as an insurmountable obstacle, while the other perceives it as an opportunity for growth. This difference is not due to luck or external circumstances, but rather the lens through which each person views the situation. Perspective is a powerful force, one that can either limit us or empower us, depending on how we choose to use it. At the core of perspective is the cognitive framework we develop throughout life, an intricate web of beliefs, experiences, and expectations that dictate how we interpret events. When faced with adversity, some people instinctively focus on what they have lost, dwelling on the pain, the unfairness, or the magnitude of the struggle. Others, however, shift their focus toward what can be gained, asking themselves what lessons can be learned and how the challenge might serve as a catalyst for personal evolution. This ability to reframe experiences, to shift from a mindset of defeat to one of possibility, is what separates those who remain trapped in negativity from those who use struggles as stepping stones to a better future. Perspective is not a passive trait, but an active choice. The mind, when left unchecked, often defaults to negativity, a survival mechanism that has been ingrained in human evolution to detect threats and avoid danger. However, while this negativity bias once served as a vital function in early human survival, in today's world, it often manifests as a tendency to catastrophize, dwell on worst-case scenarios, and fixate on problems rather than solutions. Recognizing this tendency is the first step toward reshaping our perspective. By becoming aware of how our minds instinctively react to challenges, we gain the power to redirect our thoughts and choose interpretations that serve rather than hinder us. The science of perception: how the brain interprets reality. Modern neuroscience has provided profound insights into the way the brain constructs reality. Contrary to popular belief, the human brain does not passively record events like a camera capturing a scene. Instead, it actively filters, organizes, and interprets information, filling in gaps, prioritizing certain details, and discarding others based on past experiences and deeply held beliefs. This means that what we perceive as reality is, in many ways, a personalized construct, a version of the world shaped by our expectations and mental conditioning. One of the most significant factors influencing perception is the phenomenon of selective attention. At any given moment, the brain is bombarded with an overwhelming amount of sensory information. To prevent cognitive overload, it selectively filters what is deemed important while ignoring the rest. This process is heavily influenced by what we habitually focus on. If we train our minds to seek out problems, injustices, and obstacles, our brain will become attuned to finding them, reinforcing a cycle of negativity. Conversely, if we condition ourselves to notice opportunities, strengths, and solutions, our perception of the world shifts accordingly. This is why individuals with a growth-oriented mindset consistently find ways to adapt and succeed, while those with a fixed mindset remain stuck in cycles of frustration and limitation. Neuroscientific studies have also revealed the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself, a concept known as neuroplasticity. This means that the way we perceive the world is not fixed, but malleable. Through conscious effort, we can reshape our mental pathways, training our brains to default to more constructive and empowering interpretations. One of the most effective methods for doing this is through cognitive reframing, a psychological technique that involves actively challenging negative thought patterns and replacing them with more balanced, constructive perspectives. For example, instead of interpreting failure as evidence of inadequacy, one can reframe it as valuable feedback that provides insight into areas for growth. Over time, this practice reshapes neural pathways, making optimism and resilience habitual rather than forced responses. The role of perspective in overcoming adversity. In moments of struggle, perspective becomes the determining factor in whether a person succumbs to despair or rises stronger. Adversity, by its nature, is neither inherently good nor bad. It is neutral until we assign it meaning. While some people view challenges as punishments or indicators of personal failure, others interpret them as tests of character, opportunities for reinvention, or necessary experiences that pave the way for future success. This shift in perspective does not negate pain or hardship, but rather allows individuals to extract meaning from their suffering, transforming obstacles into catalysts for growth. One of the most compelling examples of perspective's power can be seen in the lives of individuals who have faced seemingly insurmountable odds, yet have emerged with newfound strength and purpose. Whether it is a cancer survivor who views their illness as a call to appreciate life more deeply, a failed entrepreneur who sees bankruptcy as a lesson in resilience and reinvention, or a person who has endured personal loss and chooses to honor their pain by helping others. The common denominator in these stories is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of perspective. Reframing adversity requires a conscious effort to detach from automatic emotional reactions and instead approach difficulties with a sense of curiosity and openness. Instead of immediately labeling an experience as a disaster, one can ask, "What can this teach me? How might this experience shape me into a stronger, wiser person? Is there an unseen opportunity hidden within this difficulty?" These questions shift the focus from victimhood to empowerment, turning setbacks into sources of insight rather than defeat. Harnessing gratitude to shift perspective. One of the most effective ways to cultivate a positive perspective is through the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is more than just a feel-good sentiment. It is a scientifically proven tool that alters brain chemistry, rewires thought patterns, and enhances emotional resilience. When individuals actively seek out and acknowledge the positive aspects of their lives, they train their minds to focus on abundance rather than scarcity, shifting their default perspective toward appreciation rather than dissatisfaction. Studies have shown that regular gratitude practice leads to increased levels of dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters associated with happiness and emotional stability. This means that individuals who incorporate gratitude into their daily routines experience not only an improved outlook, but also tangible physiological benefits, including reduced stress levels, enhanced immune function, and increased overall well-being. Gratitude does not require grand gestures. Even the simplest acknowledgments can have profound effects. Taking a moment each day to reflect on what is going well, recognizing the small joys in daily life, and expressing appreciation for the people who contribute to one's happiness can shift perspective dramatically. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, reinforcing a mindset of abundance and transforming the way one interprets both ordinary and challenging experiences. Perspective is one of the most powerful tools available to individuals seeking to cultivate a positive and resilient mindset. While external circumstances may be unpredictable and at times harsh, the way one chooses to interpret and respond to them determines the ultimate outcome. By consciously shaping perspective through cognitive reframing, gratitude, self-awareness, and a commitment to seeing challenges as opportunities, one gains the ability to navigate life with confidence and purpose. This is not about denying reality or ignoring hardship, but about embracing the truth that perception is a choice, and through that choice, we hold the power to shape our own experience. Chapter 14. The End is the Beginning, Embracing a Life of Positivity and Purpose. The Journey of Transformation. Every journey, no matter how profound, must eventually come to a close, but endings are not synonymous with conclusions. Rather, they serve as transitions into new beginnings. The path of transforming struggles into strength, of consciously cultivating a positive and empowered mindset, is not a destination, but an ongoing process, one that continues beyond the final pages of this book and into every decision, challenge, and triumph that life presents. The principles explored throughout this journey are not mere abstract concepts, but tools, guiding lights that illuminate the way forward. The true test of this transformation lies in the everyday moments, the small but significant choices that determine whether one succumbs to negativity or rises above it with unwavering resolve. Life does not hand out guarantees. There will be days of doubt, moments of exhaustion, and circumstances that seem insurmountable. There will be times when past patterns of negativity attempt to reassert themselves, whispering old fears and reinforcing outdated beliefs. But this is where true strength is revealed, not in an absence of struggle, but in the conscious decision to face it with clarity, wisdom, and the understanding that perception dictates reality. The power to define one's narrative has always resided within, waiting to be acknowledged and wielded with purpose. The final step in this journey is not about reaching perfection, for perfection is an illusion. Rather, it is about embracing the ongoing nature of growth, committing to a mindset of continuous self-improvement, and carrying forth the lessons learned into a future shaped by intention rather than circumstance. Sustaining the positivity effect. One of the greatest challenges in any transformation is sustainability. Inspiration can be fleeting, motivation can wane, and without conscious reinforcement, even the most profound realizations risk fading into the background as old habits resurface. The key to sustaining the positivity effect lies in consistent practice, daily rituals, mental exercises, and intentional thought patterns that reinforce the beliefs and behaviors necessary to maintain a resilient and empowered perspective. One of the most effective ways to do this is through deliberate reflection. Taking time each day to assess one's thoughts, reactions, and overall mindset provides an opportunity to recognize patterns that either serve or hinder progress. This practice does not require hours of deep introspection. Even a few moments of self-awareness can prevent negativity from taking root. Journaling, meditation, or even simple moments of stillness can serve as anchors, allowing individuals to recalibrate their perspective before external circumstances dictate their emotional state. Equally important is the practice of conscious gratitude. As explored in previous chapters, gratitude has the power to reshape neural pathways, reinforcing a mindset of abundance rather than lack. But gratitude must extend beyond mere acknowledgement. It must be woven into daily life, transforming into a habitual lens through which the world is viewed. This means not only appreciating the obvious blessings, but also finding value in challenges, seeing setbacks as opportunities, and recognizing the inherent beauty in moments that might otherwise go unnoticed. Gratitude is not a passive state, but an active practice, one that, when cultivated consistently, serves as a shield against negativity and a catalyst for continued growth. Another crucial element of sustaining positivity is surrounding oneself with environments and influences that reinforce the mindset one seeks to maintain. Just as negativity can be contagious, so too can optimism, ambition, and resilience. Relationships, social environments, and even the media one consumes all play a role in shaping internal narratives. Choosing to engage with individuals who uplift rather than drain, to seek out content that inspires rather than discourages, and to create spaces that foster peace and motivation can serve as external reinforcements to the internal work being done. Leaving a legacy of strength and positivity. True transformation does not end with the self. Its impact extends outward, influencing not only personal experiences, but also the lives of those around us. Every individual, through their choices, words, and actions, contributes to the collective energy of the world, shaping environments, relationships, and even the mindsets of others. By embodying positivity, resilience, and purpose, one becomes a source of inspiration, a beacon of light in a world that often struggles under the weight of doubt and despair. Legacy is not defined solely by achievements or material success, but by the imprint one leaves on the hearts and minds of others. It is found in the moments of kindness offered, the encouragement extended, and the way one chooses to navigate both triumphs and hardships. Living with intentionality means recognizing that every interaction, no matter how small, has the potential to uplift or diminish, to inspire or discourage. In this way, cultivating a positive mindset is not merely a personal endeavor, but a responsibility, a contribution to the greater good that extends far beyond the self. This understanding brings with it a profound shift in perspective. No longer is personal growth viewed as an isolated pursuit, but rather as a ripple effect, one that touches lives in ways both seen and unseen. By choosing to embody resilience in the face of adversity, one gives others permission to do the same. By demonstrating that struggle can be a source of strength rather than defeat, one challenges narratives of limitation and scarcity. And by living a life rooted in gratitude, purpose, and unwavering belief in the potential for transformation, one becomes a testament to what is possible. As this journey comes to an end, the most important realization remains. The choice to embrace positivity, to turn struggles into strength, and to navigate life with intentionality is not a one-time decision, but a daily commitment. Each morning presents a new opportunity to reaffirm this choice, to step forward with clarity and purpose, and to reinforce the mindset that has been cultivated throughout this transformative journey. The world will not always be easy, nor will circumstances always align perfectly with expectations. But within every challenge lies a lesson. Within every setback lies potential. And within every moment of doubt lies an opportunity to reaffirm belief in oneself. The final step is not about seeking an ending, but embracing the beginning of a life lived with awareness, resilience, and an unshakable commitment to growth. This is the essence of the positivity effect, not a fleeting emotion or an abstract philosophy, but a way of life, a conscious decision to shape reality through the power of perspective, and a legacy that extends beyond the self, leaving an indelible mark on the world. The journey does not end here. It begins anew with every thought, every action, and every choice that follows.